Slowly and gently you may open the eyes. Join me in the chant. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. At some point, life seems like mechanical, monotonous, and repetitive. It's often that way because somewhere if you look within, it's as if we're always waiting for something to happen. Mind often asks the question, what next? The mind seems to be working only with this mechanism, what next, what next? Yes, it seems to be very biological, evolutionary in nature, because probably the body is built to survive in the wild. So all the time, one has to be, in terms of the body, mind, sense complex, the very fine senses that you are always looking, anticipating what next is going to happen so that you can survive in the wild. But we have moved. It's 2025. We all live in a very defined pattern. Everything is known. The day is scheduled, the year is scheduled, everything is done. Now, really speaking, there's nothing much to ask what next, because already your Google Calendar is going to tell you what next anyways. But this pattern of mind doesn't allow us to be in the present moment at all. Why? Because we are always asking what next. Another thing is we are always waiting for something extraordinary to happen. Something extraordinary. The ordinary doesn't seem to capture our attention. We always want something special. So even the restaurant menu, there's a today's specials apart from what is. So often that becomes a selling point, I suppose. People look at what's today's specials. At 12:30 you will ask what is today's special in the dining hall. So often we kind of conceive the world around us as ordinary, and everybody is in a different pursuit to create something special, something extraordinary outside of it. So in this movement of mind and in this movement of one's actions, one misses to recognize the ordinary, that which is ever present, that which is there. Since we do not pay attention to it at all, a regular mind doesn't seem to have enough insights to look at it all from a higher perspective. The Upanishad gives a beautiful perspective to point out the reality of the ordinary. I come back to the Drigdrishya Viveka that we have discussed, that we have explored. I am the Sakshi, the Drik, I am the seer, and what do I see? An entire Jagat which is seen. Now, what is this blessed scene? I am the seer. Okay, I seem to appreciate it. And often a question remains, what do I do with this scene now? The Upanishad, in the classes we are exploring it as mithya, this and that. Fine. Can we discuss a little more about it? Why? Because that's the realm our lives to be revolving around. What should be one's attitude towards the scene? How do I deal with the scene? How do I deal with the scene? The Upanishad gives a beautiful perspective. Vedanta is a complete inquiry. The inquiry encompasses the seer, the nature of the seer, and the nature of the seen as well. Or in other technical terminology of Vedanta, we fundamentally discuss and explore three categories: Jiva, the individual; Jagat, the world; and Ishvara. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, the God. Because these three, we seem to have so much misconceptions about these three categories. The Upanishad thoroughly explores these three categories. To such an extent, the inquiry is so strong and complete is that sometimes if you see some of the lectures of Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandaji, he would use this language. He would say, the Vedanta is an inquiry upon the Jiva, the individual, the Jagat, the world, and Ishvara, if at all there is one. Meaning, this is not a belief system. Everything is an exploration. Every category is an exploration. We do have the categories. Yes, one might have inherited certain value system, certain way of looking at the world, the religious way of looking at the world, which involves devatas, different conceptions of devata, all of it. But when it comes to Vedantic inquiry, we do not assume anything to be absolute, sacrosanct, thus I should not touch upon it. No, that's not the way we handle. We inquire into the category of Ishvara as well. Now, every religion comes up with a particular conception of God. Now, the basis of the Hindu or Sanatana conception of Bhagavan or God is found in this beautiful Upanishad, Isavasya Upanisad, which is usually the Upanishads are there in the end section of the Vedas. That's why the Upanishads, the entire body of literature, gets the name Vedanta. Veda is our scripture. Anta means end. One connotation is that literally you find Upanishads at the end of the book. Suppose you take Vedas to be a book, and the Upanishads are found in the last anta, last sections of the Vedas. That's why the positional term Vedanta. But the Isavasya Upanishad is unique. Why? Because you don't find that Upanishad at the end section of the Veda. You just find at the very middle or the very beginning of in the beginning section, in the Samhita portion of the Veda itself. The other meaning of the word Anta is the final purport or conclusion. So Upanishads get the name Vedanta because they stand for the conclusions of the Veda. Veda talk about 100 million things. I told you there is a ritual and a mantra for everything. There's a ritual to get a sun, there is a ritual to get rain, there is a ritual even to destroy one's enemy, this, that, etc. That's not a realm. Basically, it talks about everything, meaning it is representing the entire scheme of things in the Jagat. But Isavasya Upanishad gets featured in the very beginning portion of the Veda. It has something beautiful to say about the nature of God, the nature of world, and what's the attitude with which we shall relate with the ordinary or Jagat. What's the nature of it? How do I see all of this in the realm of the seen, You know, Buddha was once asked this question. Hey, you have not discussed about the creator, you have not discussed much about creator, creation, etc. So Buddha answers, he says, suppose an arrow is stuck on your back. So what would you do at that moment? Would you turn back and say, oh, where did this arrow come from? Where did this arrow originate? What is the cause of this arrow? All of this, do you ask that question? You don't ask those questions. What is a wise thing to do at that moment? Just to take that arrow off of your back, handle the wound, let it heal. That's all what you're going to do at that moment. Even in Vedanta, our inquiry is structured in that way. There is dukkha in place of the arrow. We have a sense of void, a sense of incompleteness, a sense of lack that seems to be occupying human mind and heart all the time. That is what we are going to handle first. Dukkha nivritti. How do I get rid of this dukkha? That's why we did all this inquiry, drisya viveka, and to see that I'm always seeking completeness in the realm of seen, but that completeness, ananda, cannot be found in the realm of the seen at all. Now, having done that inquiry, a persistent question may remain. Yes, where did all this seen come from? What is the nature of this scene? Is there something more? Can you talk something more about it? Yes, Upanishad gives us some perspectives to handle the scene, Let us look at the mantra, page 8 on the handout, second section. You may repeat after me. Isavasyam idam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat Isavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjithaha Maghridaha kasyasvidhanam So, we have this entire realm of seen, the whole of seen. Are you with me when I say seen? The seen is the entire world, entire jagat, every nama rupa included, everything known to humanity today and everything that is not known as yet. Maybe it will be known in future. Today morning I was looking at, the jagat, there are different conceptions of jagat. Chemist looks at jagat in one way. A physicist looks at the jagat in one way, and a Vedantin looks at the jagat in one fundamental way. So everybody has their own conceptions. Something is known today to science, and then it's not known as yet. So this morning I asked a question to ChatGPT. What is the current number of elements in the periodic table? Current number, because each and every year something gets added, because it was not known to humanity as yet, it gets known. So I think 118 is the answer it gave, current number. 2018 or something was added. So the jagat, that in the realm of seen, things are known to humanity today and some things are not known as yet. And when we say seen, it includes all of it. It includes known and unknown. Yet to be known. In fact, unknown is just yet to be known. Known and unknown, yet to be known. So all of it. From where did it all come from? What is the origin of all of it? How is all of it sustained? Where does it go back to? In fact, we ask the very question, where does it go back to? Because somehow from childhood, if it's a Hindu conditioning or the Hindu value system that with which we grew up, we always have this conception, Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, creation, sustenance, dissolution. The Upanishad points out that, hey, look, you say seer, you are, and what is one element, one aspect when you say I, or this I as the seer? What is it? I am present. It also translates as I am and I am present. That presence is known to you fundamentally. You say I am, that means I am present. Sat, the Upanishad uses the term Sat in that place, existence, the principle of existence. I am. Essentially, I am existent. I am. And now in the realm of seen, there are numerous things, numerous objects, numerous experiences. If you look at the basis of all of it, everything is. Isn't it so? One fundamental aspect of every object is that it is. Do you want to understand more experientially? Any object, hold or close your eyes and touch anything that is in front of you. Maybe your notepad, pen, or any object. Are you touching? Okay, now you may open your eyes. What is the first experience that you have when you touch something? Huh? Yeah, before even that, the first experience is that something is, that gets revealed, something is. Then you put your mind, memory, previous understanding, all of it. Then you say, okay, if this is of this texture and this form, must be a pen, must be the paper, must be papers. Many people say, touch wood, and then they do this. So they experience, yes, there is wood, solid wood here. So, what's the first thing that any object reveals itself about? What does it reveal about itself? Its existence. It is. It is. We often miss this part. We never recognize that everything in the realm of seen is, fundamentally is, asti. Sanskrit word asti means is. The other word, substitute word for it is sat. The Upanishad uses the word sat, meaning indicating existence. Everything is. Now, the Upanishad wants us to recognize that we often recognize every name and form. There are numerous objects. We recognize all of it, except what we do not pay attention to the fundamental category of existence. Everything is. Everything is. In the Hindu conception, in the Sanatana conception, the Vedantic conception of God is not somebody sitting somewhere outside. The conception of God, how does Upanishad define God? As that which is existence. Satyam jnanam anantam brahma yo veda nihitam guhayam parame vyoman. Taittiriya Upanishad defines what is that Brahman, what is that God. So I'm intentionally using these words to show you that the word God, the word Brahman, the word Atman are all synonyms. They're not different words. They're not different words. Upanishad defines God as that, God as existence itself. God as existence itself. Now, a question to be asked. Do I recognize God as the principle of existence? Because the popular conception is all the particularized form of that existence. Yes, the murti in the temple does exist. The same exists, the principle of existence is given a name and the form in a context of a religious worship to enable worship or enable upasana. But in and through, what is expected is to recognize the presence of Bhagavan. And that Bhagavan is nothing but Atma, the principle of existence. This is where there is unity, samanadhikaranyam. I am present as the very existence, Sat. Everything is, everything else is. It is fundamentally in the field of presence. They are the same. They are the same. They are not two different realities. They are of the same realities. So Upanishad wants us to recognize this. It says, Isavasya Idam Sarvam. It says, may you grow to have this understanding. Isavasya Idam Sarvam. May you pervade the entire realm of seen with this understanding. May you understand all of it is Isha. Isha means power, higher power. May you recognize that the God that we are worshipping, the God that we are seeking is very much present in the entire realm of seen as the very principle of existence. Everything is fundamentally. Are you with me? Everything is fundamentally. May you have this vision. May you work in the realm of seen with this understanding. Everything is pervaded by divinity. And how everything is pervaded by divinity? Through the principle of existence. Everything is. Everything is. Isavasyam idam sarvam. Idam sarvam. Everything that is. All that is. Isavasyam. May you pervade everything that you are seeing with the understanding that they are all fundamentally divine. How? Swamiji, then how do I understand? There are criminals, there are good people, there is good, bad, ugly, everything in the world. Yes, we are not denying that. We are only showing that fundamentally all of it, good, bad, ugly, whatsoever, is all ease. Ease. May you recognize that easiness. May you recognize that easiness. May you recognize that easiness. And name and form, of course, vary. Duality is definitely there at the level of names and forms. That's why we have the comparative words, good, bad, ugly, etc. Definitely duality is there in the realm of Nama-Rupa, but what Upanishad is asking us to do is to recognize the unity underlying all of it. Bhagavad Gita beautifully says, Krishna says, may you recognize me as Sutre Manigana Iva. May you recognize me as that unseen connecting thread between all the beads. Between all the beads. Okay, Abba, first time I used one of the objects kept here for an example. Sutre Manigana Iva. May you recognize that divinity which is expressing itself as the principle of existence in the entire realm of the seen. Ishavasya midam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat. Yat kinchit, whatever is in the world, small, big, beautiful, all of it, everything may you recognize in the entire jagat, as Ishvara, as pervaded by Ishvara, as pervaded by Atma, and pervaded by the principle of Sat. May you see this fact. May you see this fact. May you see this fact that every object, every person, every situation is unfolding on this grand field called existence. On the grand field called existence. Just like on the white screen, various scenes are appearing. May you recognize that on this field of existence, different nama rupas are appearing in the realm of seen. So, then in what way shall I relate to this scene, having recognized that everything is pervaded by Lord, which is but the inner self, How do I relate with it? Tena tyaktena bhunjitaha magradha kasya sviddhanam. Recognize this fact that there is a principle higher than this ego, there is a principle higher than this body and mind, and that principle is Sat. Everything is pervaded by that principle, and nothing really is owned by this ego, this body and mind. In that recognition, may you give up your obsession with the entire realm of seeing. Tena tyaktena. How do I relate with the world which is in front of me? By a spirit of renunciation. What are you renouncing? You are renouncing the ownership that you hold towards objects, people which are around you. And what is this giving up? What is this renunciation? This is a cognitive renunciation, not a physical renunciation. Cognitively give up your ownership, because the ego, is not owning anything to start with. Everything is because of a higher principle, not because of you. We often use the expression, he is a self-made man, she is a self-made woman. So, what is really self-made? Nothing self-made. Everything is given. That person puts together some of the things and we say, self-made woman, self-made man. So, may you understand this reality. Then, Upanishad says, Tena tyaktena, by giving up your ownership, by giving up this possessive attitude, bhunjitaha, may you enjoy, may you experience. Bhunj dhatu has the connotation of experience, may you enjoy. May you experience the entire realm of seen. How? With the attitude of renunciation. Without the ownership, may you engage with things. May you engage with life and its experiences without possessiveness, without hardened ownership. May you engage with the world. Magradaha kasya sviddhanam. Upanishad is also giving us an instruction to deal with the world. Magradaha kasya sviddhanam. Do not ever, how do I say? Magradaha. Do not ever be jealous of others' life, or do not ever covet others' wealth. Do not ever eye on somebody else's wealth or something else, because nothing in reality belongs to you. Nothing in reality belongs to that person also. It is all there, and it is all pervaded by an underlying higher principle. May you never eye or covet on somebody else's wealth, somebody else's life, etc. In fact, this verse we can also take for our topic of discussion yesterday, a life without comparison. Life without comparison. Nothing ever belongs to me, thus why should I even be bothered about what others are holding, what others are seeking, what others are having. So, a simple verse, but provides one of the greatest philosophical insights. The entire value systems of Sanatana Dharma is coming from this attitude or this mantra, Isavasya Idam Sarvam. Divinize everything. Divinize everything. In fact, unfortunately, the underlying attitude is present. Divinize everything. Divinize river. May you look upon rivers as divine. May you look upon mountains as divine. May you look upon air, water, everything as divine. But what seems to be missing is a life based on that vision. It is very selectively done. Yes, the river is divine. We shall worship it, but we shall keep it clean is sometimes missing back at home in the Indian context. Or anybody, anything, anywhere who is honoring nature, sometimes we miss to really protect and preserve the very nature that we seem to be talking about all the time. You know, I read one news report, when these days it's not happening much for a good reason, I suppose, I don't know. All the delegates and delegation was flying from all over the world in meeting at Copenhagen or in the New York City for some summit on World Eco Summit or something like that. And they calculated the carbon emissions by these hundreds of flights which came to Copenhagen or New York, and then you see the amount of carbon emissions that itself would take many years to neutralize by hundreds of initiatives that has to be taken. So there's a lot of talk about honoring nature, preserving nature and ecology, etc. What humanity is lacking here, or in from the religious context back in Bharat, how this attitude is definitely present, but call for action or really living based on this attitude seems to be missing in so many areas. So if one wants to walk with this vision, live with this vision, we have to see how we can honor everybody, everything around us. That is really recognizing Ishvara everywhere. Recognizing Ishvara in temple is a very easy thing to do. Recognizing Bhagavan in the temple is a very, very easy thing to do. Why? Because that's all. You recognize in temple, once you come outside of it, you are a different person. You leave the God to temple alone. In fact, Swami Tattvavidananji in a context was telling, if Bhagavan to be with you all the time, he will become a nuisance for you. Because he's watching all the things, all the stupid things that you're doing, you see. So it's like that. Once, Sri Krishna came to USA because one devotee was really praying to him all the time. Oh Krishna, when will you come into my life? Oh Krishna, I'm waiting for you. Krishna, oh Krishna, please come. So Sri Krishna comes to the US and he calls up the devotee. He says, hey devotee, who is this? The devotee asks. He says, oh, I am Lord Krishna. The devotee is extremely elated. Wow, really Krishna, you are here? Where are you? He says, I've come to New York to see you. The devotee says, oh, wonderful. Okay, I'm coming to your home to see you now, Lord Krishna says. The devotee says, Krishna, wonderful, but it's a Thursday, I'm busy, can you make it on Sunday? So, That would be our thing if really the God that we are praying to really comes down. The question is, would I give up everything for that God? So, worshipping in a particular name and form, there's a beauty to it. It enables religious life, brings in some order, brings in some meaning in a given context in our life. But that should not be the ultimate understanding. We have to grow in our understanding. So, Isavasya Sarvam. So, Upanishad is not telling Isavasyam idam temple. It's saying idam sarvam. Idam sarvam. Idam sarvam. So the attitude that we have in the temple must be extended to every human being, every name, every form, everything that is. Everything that is. We understand that there's an underlying divinity as Sat in everything. In everything. Now, then a question, if divinity is in and through everything, like Sutre Manigana Iva, in everything, why are we not worshipping everything? Why is the worship rituals done in a particular way, in one particular configuration alone? You see, I'll answer this with a small analogy. As kids, probably you all or we all might have played the game of house. What do those kids do, or what we might have done? We take few pillows and some boxes, whatever is available, or bedspread, and a small separation something is created near the couch or something, and the couple of cousins, some kids, start playing the game of house in that area. So each person takes a role and they'll say, this is the room, this is the kitchen, this is that, this, and they start playing the game. Isn't it so? Is there any observation? Show some signs of life. So, why do those kids play that way? Why? The whole house is there. Assuming the parents won't restrict, of course they won't restrict. If the kid wants to play in the whole of the home, the parents are not going to restrict, hey, do not go there, this, that. Yeah, probably the kid can use the entire house to play that game. Why? The kid doesn't use. The kid uses a designated area in a designated configuration is because for that mind, it is unfathomable to conceive the idea that I can play the house game in the entire house. That mind of a young kid doesn't have that infrastructure to appreciate that I can play this game in the entire house as well. This kid finds comfort, meaning, and a place to do what it wants in that small area. As if the kid is training to then one day to handle the entire household. So our religious worship is also of that order. For in the earlier stages of religion or spirituality, one's mind doesn't have the enough infrastructure to appreciate the divinity manifesting in everything. The divinity being the basis for everything. One might not have that developed mind, a mature mind, to appreciate everything in this way. Thus, worship in a particular way, in a temple context, to bring mind to focus on something that is higher, something which is higher. That's kind of a training of mind in the early stages of spirituality to conceive the higher, to try and relate to the higher, But then more often what we say, a beautiful occasion of temple to pray, to connect, to contemplate on life, etc. But then we have also made the visits to the temple, churches, etc. very mechanical, just asking for what I want. That's all it starts and ends there. I want, oh God, I want something. and eat the prasad and go back. That's all about it. No, we must extend, we must grow in our understanding, and this is what that growth looks like. Isavasya idam sarvam. Recognize that this easiness, Isha, that Sat, pervades everything and everything. May you have an eyesight to see this extraordinary in everything that you consider as ordinary. And recognize that everything that we designate as ordinary are complete in itself. Everything that is ordinary is complete in itself, as not as Nama Rupa, but essentially as Sat. Body is incomplete as Nama Rupa, but in its essential nature as Sat, that which exists. In the principle of existence, it is complete, it is divine, it is extraordinary. This moment is complete in itself because the basis of this moment is Sat. Do not have to look for what next. Don't have to look for what next. So if at all we own up this attitude, our everyday life looks like completeness in itself. It's complete in itself. Whatever I may want to seek and do, that's fine. They are also complete. This is also complete. Purnamadaha Purnamidam. That is also Purnam. This is also Purnam. This is complete and that is complete as well. Everything you'll start to appreciate that it is complete and complete in itself. There is no lack whatsoever in this absolute present moment. The timeless present. Timeless present. That's how you recognize Isha. That's how you recognize Ishvara as completeness itself, as Sat, which lacks nothing. What does the principle of existence lack? Think about it. The body lacks so many things. I, as just mere presence, I lack nothing. I lack nothing. Shankaracharya in his Bhashya on this particular verse in the Isavasya Upanisad says, this knowledge, this understanding will become like a very strong natural fragrance. In its presence, all other odors take a back seat. So, very beautiful analogy that he gives. This becomes your fragrance that you carry in and through the life. I am complete. Everything else is complete in itself. You may look for whatever in the worldly paradigm, whatever you are looking for, a productivity index, this, that, you may look for all of it in a given situation. But fundamentally, you know that it is complete. It lacks nothing. It lacks nothing. I lack nothing. My life lacks nothing. The Jagat lacks nothing in its fundamental form. In the apparent form, yes, it lacks hundreds of things. Hundreds of the body, like if at all anything, the body always lacks vitamin D. So one of my student is a doctor. He kind of monitors this body's health and etc. And his field of expertise now is something called functional medicine. So he keeps insisting that I do this test, that test, this thing. He'll say, Swamiji, nothing. You don't do anything. They'll come and take your blood and we will do the rest. I say, all that you want is blood. Okay, take it. So then consistently the report comes, vitamin D lack. I said, I'm in a tropical country. How can I lack vitamin D? That's how that is. Just take the supplement. So something is always lacking in the realm of the body or whatsoever. But when you can appreciate and approach life with this fragrance of knowledge, even ordinary moments are complete from the standpoint of Sat. Body is complete from the standpoint of Sat. The Jagat is complete from the standpoint of Sat. The Jagat, the scene, is manifesting as different orders, different patterns, varied patterns and orders. What is the basis of all of it is Sat. The same Sat is manifesting as different patterns, different orders, as the law of karma, as the law of gravity, as the laws of nature, as wind, rain. So everything becomes your altar to recognize the higher truth. The wind, rain, water, the vayu, the breath. Rishis are called as kavayaha, those who can see something more than what we can see. So there is the beautiful Shanti mantra in which it has Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi. The Rishi has this realization, the Rishi has this revelation, and he is saying, my namaskarams to this very breath, Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi. You are the very pratyaksha, very visible God to me. Why? Because I see the entire life operating through this breath, So that Rishi is recognizing that higher reality even in this ordinary breath, So that's the profoundness of manifestation of this vision. Everything shall become an altar to recognize higher power. And when I use the word power, you please be careful. Do not look at it as some Shakti, this, that and all. That is also another word for Sat, the higher principle. May you look upon this. That's how you can see in and through what is considered as ordinary in life, and the very ordinary becomes an altar to recognize the extraordinary, which is Sat, which is Atma, which is Brahman. So, Isavasya Midam Sarvam Yatkinchit Jagatyan Jagat. Whatever is there in the field of seen, may you pervade it with the understanding that all of it has the underlying isness, Ishvara, Isha. Tena tyaktena bhunjitaha magradha kasyasvidhanam. Thus, with this understanding, know that you own nothing. Everything temporarily happens to be with you. Let them be, no problem. Let it all be, no problem. And engage with the world. So this is not a nihilistic, fatalistic philosophy. Engage with the world with a renewed sense of engagement that you don't own nothing. You don't own nothing. You don't own anything. Nothing is yours. Something is given in the whole scheme of things. Thus, Upanishad is also saying, may you do not co-vote, stay in your lane. May you do not compare, contrast, co-vote yourself with others' wealth, whatsoever in the Jagat. That's the essence of this particular verse. We'll end our today's discussion with reference to this verse here. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.